Day 7 of training camp is in the window, and I think they have tomorrow off, back to practice on Friday, getting ready to travel to Carolina next week. But Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, Mr. Flacco. Flacco went 3 for 7 on the day. Sanders went 6 for 10. Dillon Gabriel went 6 for 11 with 1 touchdown. But as you know, Shedeur is the hardest working man in show business, so you know.
What happens when Shedeur Sanders steps on the field like he owns stock in the NFL, and Dillon Gabriel's highlight reel turns into a missing persons report? Oh, just Jimmy Haslam blinking twice like he just saw his franchise quarterback in the wrong uniform. Yup, Shedeur didn't just outshine Dillon, he eclipsed him. And now the Browns owner looks like he's rethinking his entire existence. Buckle up, because Shedeur just hijacked the spotlight and left no crumbs.
I'm just sitting here thinking the Cleveland Browns have a 4-man competition at quarterback, Dries. A 4-man competition, right? And the 5th round rookie has the most potential of them all.
That's safe to say.
That's
definitely safe to say.
Just think about that, right? How bizarre is this situation in the NFL? This team has a 4-man quarterback competition, a 3rd round rookie, a 5th round rookie, and the 5th round rookie has the most potential of them.
It was supposed to be Dillon Gabriel's moment. You know, the Oklahoma Golden Boy, Mr. QB whisperer himself, strutting into a high-stakes showcase with the air of a guy who just knew the NFL was about to kneel and kiss the ring. The spotlight was polished, the cameras were rolling, and the only thing missing was his "Welcome to the League" banner hanging over the field. And yet, somehow, by the end of it all anyone could talk about was Shedeur. Yes, that Shedeur.
40 minutes early for practice, doing the doggone thing, working out, getting his stretches in, warming his arm up, getting those hips and those flexors working and twerking. So, you know, you don't end up beat up and hurt for doing a little bit too much. You know what I'm saying? But Shedeur made some pretty passes today. They played second team offense against first team defense, and Shedeur got first reps today.
Shedeur Sanders didn't just show up, he arrived like he was launching a hostile takeover of the entire quarterback conversation. Think Wall Street merger meets Sunday Night Football. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't polite, and it sure as hell wasn't expected. The Browns invited a few potential prospects to this little public workout to observe, analyze, and maybe scribble down a few future draft notes. What they got instead was a front row seat to the Shedeur Sanders live NFL audition show. And oh, it came with fireworks.
I want to make this clear. Let's make this perfectly clear, right? Dillon Gabriel, right? Dillon Gabriel is listed as 5 foot 11 inches tall. There aren't many starting quarterbacks under 6 foot tall in the NFL. And if a quarterback is under 6 foot tall, he's usually very mobile and or athletic, with a few exceptions, right? Now there's Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Brock Purdy. These are the players, the quarterbacks that are under 6 foot tall. Smaller, shorter quarterbacks. The point is, to play quarterback in the NFL under 6 foot tall, something needs to be special about it.
Let's not sugarcoat this. Dillon Gabriel got outclassed, outplayed, outvibed, outmarketed, outshadgered. The kid who was supposed to be the belle of the ball ended up as background noise in someone else's highlight tape. While Gabriel was still winding up his throw, Shedeur had already zipped 3 perfect spirals, winked at a scout, and checked his wrist like, "Y'all done yet?"
Now, the question of who will win the Browns quarterback competition still an open question. Kenny Pickett just recently got a hamstring injury there. Shedeur Sanders gave a press conference. He is not taking reps with the first team right now, and he was asked
getting
about
lack
that.
of reps a
He's
little
getting
bit.
lack of reps there, and he was asked about that, which, by the way, I don't know if he's AI or something, but every answer he gives at a press conference, I'm like,
good.
it's like the perfect answer.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's amazing.
Well, his dad was pretty damn good at answering things too, right?
point,
I mean,
yeah.
quick-witted. They know what their beliefs are, how they want to attack certain things, and they're not afraid of the mic. And I think they are guys that love football.
Now, to be fair, Gabriel wasn't bad, but this wasn't a contest of bad versus good. This was a masterclass versus maybe next time. Gabriel looked like he was trying to pass a test. Shedeur, he was the test. Shedeur's mechanics, crisp, surgical. He threw like he had the ghost of Peyton Manning feeding him cheat codes in real time. Every pass was tight, decisive, and had just the right amount of arrogance to say, "Yeah, I meant to do that." Gabriel tried his best. His footwork was fine, his arm strength respectable, and his demeanor pleasant enough to land him a solid quarterback 2 job somewhere. At one point, Jimmy Haslam, owner of the Cleveland Browns and a man who has watched more disappointing quarterback play than should be legally allowed, was visibly reacting, not faking it, not being polite, reacting, nodding, leaning in, doing that thing rich people do when they start wondering if they just stumbled across the next gold mine. Shedeur was tossing dimes, and Haslam was recalculating the meaning of franchise cornerstone.
Well. You mean to tell me the 144th pick, 5th round QB is outplaying Dillon Gabriel? Ain't nowhere in the world that's happening. It's happening. We're all witnessing and seeing it, live and direct. We're all seeing it. But we're all seeing what we knew. This don't surprise us. Dillon Gabriel, I'm not knocking his game, but he's not even... Have you seen him stand beside Shedeur? Have you? Because I have. And that's very important. Very important. You want your QBs to see over the line of scrimmage. Just letting y'all know that. To my next point, all this fanfare and hate for the Sanders family. And folks don't realize you walk right into the Shedeur effect right out of the...
It wasn't just the throws, it was how Shedeur carried himself. The guy owned the field. He walked like he had already been drafted and was just here for charity. Every time he took the snap, it was like watching someone dial into a zone the rest of the room didn't even know existed. Command, check. Swagger, check. Leadership. You could practically hear his receivers saying, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?" Meanwhile, Gabriel, who, again, was supposed to be the main attraction, looked like he had wandered into the wrong episode. His energy felt like he was checking boxes. Read 1 question mark, check. Read 2 question marks, panic. Read 3, sack, rinse, repeat. While Dillon was running drills like a job applicant, Shedeur was doing it like a brand ambassador. He wasn't auditioning, he was marketing. To be clear, Shedeur didn't want a spot. He walked in like he was already the face of the campaign. Meanwhile, Dillon was still stapling his resume to the metaphorical table.
They go, hey, yeah, Kenny Pickett's the starter. We're going to keep the 2 young guys because they're good future assets for our organization. Gabriel, hey, they liked him, obviously. That's why they drafted him in the 3rd round. Shedeur Sanders, there's potential there. I don't think you can just get rid of him and go like, oh, well, he was just a 6th round pick for us, so we're going to cut him. No. I think there's certainly more talent that way.
This wasn't just physical, it was cerebral. Shedeur was making pre-snap reads like a guy with an earpiece feeding him enemy intel. His anticipation, on point. His pocket presence, effortless. He wasn't reacting to pressure, he was manipulating it. Gabriel, by comparison, looked like he was discovering gravity for the first time every time the rush came. And don't even start with the leadership comparison. Shedeur's voice could be heard over coaches. He was clapping, hyping guys up, pointing, directing traffic like he was the offensive coordinator in cleats. Gabriel, polite, quiet, respectful, the kind of guy you'd want your daughter to date, not the guy who makes defensive coordinators lose sleep. But let's talk NFL readiness. He played behind a high school level offensive line and still dropped 400-yard games like it was a TikTok trend. That's not just talent, that's Warzone tested poise.
So the Cleveland Browns owner came out today talking about it wasn't his decision to pick up Shedeur, it was the GM's decision. Sir, why would you give us that information now? That doesn't even matter to us. As fans, we don't care at this point who picked them up. We do know that the GM, you saying that, but that GM didn't look happy on draft day. He didn't look like he wanted Shedeur. And he also said at the beginning of draft weekend, they had no intentions on having 4 quarterbacks. So something ain't adding up. The math ain't mathing, sir.
Gabriel's career, while solid, was cushioned. Oklahoma gave him clean pockets, a receiver buffet, and a system tailor-made for quarterback stats. You take away the bubble screens and safe checkdowns, and suddenly it's a different story. A story that looks a lot less like future starter, and a lot more like developmental project. Now back to Haslam's reaction, because this part is pure cinematic gold. Imagine being Jimmy Haslam. You signed Deshaun Watson to the most expensive drama in NFL history. Your franchise is one scandal away from becoming a Netflix documentary. And now in front of your eyes is a quarterback who not only looks NFL ready, but also isn't drowning in PR baggage or court cases. He's just really, really good. And you weren't even scouting him. The clip of Haslam nodding after a Shedeur bomb down the sideline, the internet naturally exploded. Because this isn't just about talent, it's about optics. It's about momentum. And Shedeur owns both. Analysts went from breaking down Gabriel's footwork to Googling Shedeur's 40 time. Social media feeds flipped overnight. Browns fans started whispering sweet nothings like, maybe we draft him anyway?
Ask for him to get on the field earlier than where I see it at this point has to be with if one of the veteran quarterbacks during the Eagles and the Panthers just looked bad, Then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, okay, well, let's see what we can do with this, and maybe he might earn the reps. And then the second big thing is he has to light it up when it comes to the preseason games. I told you, the dinking and dunking, where you at the pecking order at this point, that ain't gonna get it done. You have to turn eyeballs. You have to make plays. And then when you make those plays, people will say, oh, well, hold on.
And Dillon? Well, somewhere in the corner of the internet, his highlight clips were quietly being replaced with Shedeur montages. That's not shade. That's just the algorithm doing God's work. This whole showcase flipped the narrative. It became a referendum not just on two quarterbacks, but on the type of quarterback the NFL needs now. One fits the old school, quiet, let my play do the talking mold. The other is Shedeur, who does the playing and the talking and also brings 2 million followers with him to every team meeting. NFL teams aren't just drafting arms anymore. They're drafting brands. They're drafting leaders. They're drafting people who can handle being the face of a billion-dollar operation. He sets his own tone. And if you're not keeping up, he'll just leave you in the dust, preferably while dropping a 50-yard dime on the run. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel, who again came into this workout as the expected star, left with the kind of press coverage you give a 7th-round pick who might make the practice squad. Not awful, just forgettable.
Now we're gonna talk some real football here. 2 third-string quarterbacks, you saying, right? Shedeur or Dillon. If I'm the owner.
As of now, yeah.
If I'm an owner, everywhere we talking about a 5th-round draft pick, so y'all saying, if they the same, why would I keep the 3rd rounder? I can find him anywhere. Nobody talks about Dillon. I'm talking about the business part of it. The 5th rounder I got, the 5th rounder I have, he's talked about everywhere. He's low-key a new like icon, like a young icon type dude. Real talk. And another thing is he's selling all the jerseys. So business-wise, if they're gonna be the 3rd string anyway, why would I keep the 3rd rounder when the 5th rounder is popping?
And that's the real punchline. Shedeur didn't have to bury Gabriel. He just had to exist near him. The contrast did the rest. At first, Jimmy Haslam looked like a man forced to attend another quarterback workout he didn't ask for. You could almost hear his internal monologue. Please let this be over so I can go yell at a stadium vendor. But then, Shedeur Sanders took the field, and Haslam, stone-faced, arms crossed, morphed into a man rediscovering joy. The cameras didn't lie. First the lean in, then the head nods, then the hand to chin, then the pen. Jimmy Haslam, taking notes. At a quarterback workout. That's rarer than a Browns playoff win. And just when it looked like the show was over, word leaks that Haslam actually spoke with Shedeur afterward. Brief, but telling. You know, just a harmless billionaire owner chatting up a quarterback he has no business talking to unless he's considering turning his $230 million investment into a very expensive clipboard holder. Did we just witness the future in a hoodie? And why is Shedeur not in orange and brown right now? Browns fans, bless them, have suffered through quarterback drama since rotary phones.
I can't speak for everybody, but I feel like a big chunk of people knew that Shedeur Sanders throws the ball better than Dillon Gabriel. That's why a lot of people were surprised when the Browns drafted Dillon Gabriel ahead of Shedeur Sanders, and that's why a lot of people were even more surprised that Shedeur Sanders fell that far in the draft to begin with. At this point, I think Joe Flacco is probably going to be QB1 in Cleveland, but QB2 and 3 is going to be between Kenny and probably Shedeur. And that's not to say Dillon Gabriel is a bad quarterback or anything, but Shedeur Sanders was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in college football. And yes, there was questions about his arm strength or whatever, but nobody questioned his talent to throw the ball and to be accurate. So hearing that Browns reporter say it's not even close doesn't surprise me.
Now they see a calm, confident, game-ready signal caller not in their building. It's borderline emotional abuse. And poor Dillon Gabriel. Remember him? The guy the workout was supposedly for? Analysts stopped talking about him before his cleats cooled. One NFL pundit summed it up perfectly. Gabriel ran drills. Shedeur ran the room. Even his name disappeared from the narrative like an unpaid intern in a company's Zoom call. Somewhere, Dillon's PR team is Googling how to rebrand fast, because what Shedeur did wasn't just outperform, he redefined the event. Dillon was running a standard quarterback showcase. Shedeur was filming a trailer for his own sports documentary. Crisp footwork, beautiful touch passes, command of the moment, and it's not even in the same galaxy. One is the future of a franchise. The other is the future of being a very reliable second stringer with nice hair. Shedeur has poise, presence, the arm, and the intangibles. And most importantly, he moves the needle. For fans, for media.
Yeah. Right? Like, I mean, I was playing for Chip Kelly. There's some part I'm like, shit, I'm looking at him like, now you know he shouldn't even be. You know what I'm saying? So just think about the Browns.
Yeah.
If you say they're gonna be third stringers anyway,
yeah.
Now why the hell would I keep Dillon Brooks or Dillon Gabriel?
He's gonna make the roster though. He's not getting cut.
Whatever it is, I'm just saying if I had to pick one of them.
Yeah, from an ownership perspective, it makes. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to sell tickets and sell that, yeah.
Because we ain't win the Super Bowls, so we not that's out the way.
Not this year.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Think about that
that's-
for a second.
That's why I keep telling y'all.
Oh, tell us.
From the business standpoint, also, that these veterans are probably going to be the odd man out.
For actual billionaire owners who supposedly already have their guy. Dillon, he'll make a good insurance policy if the first two quarterbacks catch mono. But let's stretch this out, because the real circus starts if the Browns ever entertain the thought of drafting Shedeur. Just imagine it. Dion on the sideline in custom orange. ESPN running nonstop segments. Who should start? $230 million Watson or the phenom Sanders? Cleveland sports radio melting down hourly, and fans torn between loyalty and finally winning. And if you thought Haslam's notebook moment was nothing, think again. That wasn't just scribbles, that was a seismic shift. If he wasn't writing down, draft Shedeur, Deion Sanders at First Energy Stadium, walking through the tunnels like he owns the joint. Shedeur under center, throwing missiles while the Cleveland crowd tries to figure out what joy feels like again. Media frenzy, ratings boom, and most importantly, actual quarterback play that doesn't cause permanent stress damage.
Let me get my apron ready because it is time to give you the real testament. I've been waiting for it. I needed to see it in person and I was ready. I gave you an assessment. I said 2 days ago on multiple airwaves, including Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and these very airwaves right here on the barbershop, I said there was no quarterback competition. And then Shedeur Sanders said, hold on. Give me my apron. Let me cook. Give me my apron over here. Let me show you.
Watson's contract suddenly looking like a very expensive backup plan. Browns PR throwing everything into a rebrand. The NFL quietly wondering how they let another Sanders steal the spotlight without warning. In a league constantly chasing the next big thing, Shedeur didn't wait to be anointed. He just showed up and took it. And poor Dillon Gabriel, he'll bounce back. He might even make a roster. But in this chapter of the saga, or at the very least, penciling in a name he wasn't expecting to circle. Spoiler alert, it starts with an S, ends in Anders, and just made every other quarterback on that field look like they were still trying out for JV.